Hey everyone, and welcome back to Inside Gaming. We've got a cheeky little preview for you guys today, and I kind of bit this one off because I really like futuristic racers. There's a lot of people out there that I think are kind of the same. You know, you grow up on F-Zero or Extreme G, more recently WipEout or Redout. I played tons of those games and I love it. I love pretending like I'm a futuristic racing man in a hover car, which honestly led me to looking into Formula Fusion a couple of years ago. It was pretty good, but it kind of lacked a certain amount of depth. It turns out that the developers of that game have gone back, reimagined it, added a ton more stuff, and turned it into Pacer. So now we have what is essentially a good swipe at a modern hover car racing game. So I know there are a lot of people out there like me who howl about how Nintendo will not make another F-Zero. Well, here's your chance. This game is coming, and it's time for you to put your money where your mouth is. Luckily enough, the developers came over. I got to talk to senior producer at R8 Games, Steve Isles, and he's got some good news for you guys.
This and Carlton Gaunt, who was the lead designer on this product, he would say that this is the studio's love letter, to the WipEouts, to the F-Zeros, to the pod racers, etc. What this definitely is not is a complete rip-off of those games. It has to find its own market.
So how will Pacer essentially be the follow-up to WipEout, considering that there really isn't much of a market in futuristic racers right now?
This is not your out-and-out arcade racing game. This is kind of a cross between your arcade, your simulation, and then very much your strategy. There's a massive element of strategy, and that is one of the key differentiators. Is you have to strategize how you go into a race, not only by how you update your craft, but critically, if you're going into a race that has weapons, what weapons are you taking into that race? What modifiers are you sticking on those weapons? And that again are two of your major key differentiators.
Cool, so let's talk about what makes Pacer different than WipEout or any other kind of arcade racing game. The weapon systems are quite a bit different. In Mario Kart or in WipEout, you would basically drive over icons on the track to get a weapon. It's not quite that way in this game. You equip your loadout with specific weapons that other racers can see. However, those weapons also have modifier cards that change how they operate, and other racers can't see that. So there is an element of strategy to building your loadout to match a particular track, or to complement some of the weapons you see other racers coming into a race with. Kind of cool. Shields work a little bit differently too here. Shields can recharge, but health doesn't, like your whole strength or whatever. So once it's gone, which leads to some strategy when you're racing around.
This is where the skill element to racing comes in. You really have to manage your shield and you really have to manage your health.
And here's another interesting part about the base mechanics of Pacer. Boost just recharges over time. I know a lot of other futuristic racers will sort of link shield and boost, so if you boost too much, you make yourself weaker. It doesn't really work that way here. The idea that it just comes back over time could work out really well though. It remains to be seen how it factors into the track design, but it sounds like it's the sort of thing where if you have really good track knowledge and maybe you're on a really good line, you can spend boost in areas other people may not be able to, or just how to use your boost wisely, like straightaways obviously, but maybe there are some corners you can boost into or out of. I can see that being a really interesting strategic use since ostensibly everyone has the same amount. But customization goes just beyond your loadout. You can actually tweak a million characteristics about your craft itself.
Yeah, you've got your rotation, you've got the air brakes, you've got the levitation on the anti-gravity, you've got your acceleration. That's all user definable.
And when it comes to controls, yeah, you can bank the car up and down or lean into turns, which you're gonna need to do because this game gets really fast, as you would hope for a futuristic racer. In the demo, they showed some ludicrous speed stuff, and it's kind of like WipEout. It's the sort of thing where you almost have to start turning into a corner before you even see it, just so the momentum of your car is already banking in. I kind of got to where I was doing that stuff in WipEout, but man, it takes a long time. But I love it. That's the kind of thing that rewards map knowledge, track knowledge, and of course, hard racing gamer skill. But there is a little bit more to this game than just cars that go fast and are all futuristic and bleeby. It's also nailing the look. That was a big deal with WipEout. It was one of the first games I remember that was truly fashionable. And you can see a lot of that spirit in the logo design of the teams and the weapons and things like that. And there's a really good reason for that.
These icons are from Ian Anderson at Designers Republic. Some of the core people that contributed to WipEout, like the Designers Republic, have also done a hell of a lot of the in-game icons for Pacer.
So it sounds like this game's shaping up pretty good. It's got decent mechanics, we hope. I haven't played it yet, but maybe. It's got the fashion, which I'm into. You can customize your car because I want to be a future mechanic. But this game will wipe out pretty quick without some more meat to it, right? So it does have a full campaign, at least this is what the devs say. You'll earn credits by winning races, and you can spend that on new tracks, add-ons, skins. Sounds cool, and I really like a beefy campaign, which is what the WipEout series always provided.
The complete campaign in this, and as you go through, then you're not unlocking any weapons. All the weapons are there, like as soon as you load the game up. All of the craft are there as soon as you load the game up. What isn't there is all the tracks. You have to go through and unlock the tracks. You have to go through using the tech credits that you earn through the races to purchase the skins and that actually ship with the game, and all of the add-ons for the crafting for the weapons as well. So there is that grind. There definitely isn't that pay to win within this. We are planning to do DLC for the game, but it's cosmetics. So that'll be the only kind of paid for DLC, because we in no way want to fragment our player base.
Sure. The campaign should offer an interesting challenge too. WipEout was always really hard. That was kind of the calling card of it. Sometimes a little too hard, like a little unfairly. Fuck you, like take the disc out of your PlayStation and snap it in half hard. I'm hoping this game will have elements of that, but the developers are taking a different approach here. They actually developed an AI to learn how to race the tracks. And then they can tune all sorts of little knobs about how the AI behaves to basically make AI racers that drive like humans. So hopefully they're not so robotic, because in the past they would just be on a rail buzzing through the entire track, which also sucked because it would knock you off your racing line sometimes. So yeah, WipEout is intensely challenging. It's known for having that just get good factor, so hopefully we'll see that, but with new racers that aren't so robotically, aggravatingly perfect. And it'll have multiplayer too, which will probably be even worse than playing with robots. Leagues, matchmaking, ELO rankings. So yeah, you can be told exactly how slow you are by a holistic system designed to evaluate your futuristic racing skill. And on to the final aspect of Pacer that kind of caught my eye, which is basically 50% of the reason I love anti-gravity racers in general, the music. They actually got cold storage. So this is a guy who's been doing a lot of tracks for previous WipEout games. He's back. They got him. They have a bunch of previously unreleased tracks, plus new stuff that he's writing for the game. Very cool. They also have an Australian composer named WipEout, who's not somebody I've actually heard of. They were kind enough to share the music that you're hearing in this video right now, and there's just scores and scores of his music in the game. And also in the dev build, when they were scrolling through the music list, they had pages and pages of music in the game already. And I am all about just futuristic bleepy bloops while I'm driving fast cars. So yeah, it seems like they're ticking every box here for me so far. I mean, again, the game's not out yet, and I encourage an amount of healthy skepticism, but I'm excited. But now on to the operative mystery. What's the deal? Why hasn't there been a lot of games like this? It turns out anti-gravity racers fall in a weird publishing window. They're just not big enough business for large publishers to care, but they're too big of a game to make to skate by on crowdfunding, really.
The thing is, it is what is big business, what is small business. Mm-hmm. If this does really well to a studio our size, this is big business. But to an Activision and EA, this is just minuscule. It's not worth their time. It's not worth their investment when they could be putting their money into, another FIFA or the new Star Wars game, et cetera, et cetera.
For sure.
But for us, there's definitely a gap in the market left by, the other companies, and we're more than happy to hopefully fill that gap and give AG Racers the next game that they were really waiting for. And if we get the sales, then hopefully we can keep on doing the next iteration, because obviously as we've gone through this whole development cycle, there's a whole bunch of new ideas that have come out that we really want to move forward in Pacer 2. But that's all going to be defined and decided by whether or not the consumer votes with their wallets and loves and buys this game.
So yeah, essentially, if this game succeeds, then we could get a sequel with all of the ideas that they came up with in the development of this game, but that is riding on you, and whether or not you want to pay for it. I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just saying I really like these games, so maybe you should too. One final note, they did mention that this game is a hard 60 FPS on all consoles, 1080p on base Xbox and PS4, but it'll do 4K 60 on PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. And if you've been playing the WipEout Omega collection, that looks real good. So maybe if you just want a game to show off how beefy your PS4 Pro is, this might be the one for you. So if you're starving for futuristic racing bleepy bloop games like I am, check out Pacer at pacergame.com. It's in early access now, but it's supposed to release full in 2019 sometime, so keep an eye on it. And thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on Inside Gaming.
We got some new details about the Breath of the Wild sequel that Nintendo announced at E3.
Yeah, it was one of the highlights of the show, and judging from the teaser trailer, the sequel is going to take a darker turn from the first game.
Cue that Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask comparison time.
Yeah, it's honestly hard not to make that connection. Direct sequels are very rare for the Zelda franchise. Usually they just make a brand new game.
But like Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild